What is going on, Raiders? Soda Dragon here. Welcome, and I hope you guys are doing well. So right now I am on Raid's official test server, and we are going to go through a guide on Yumiko. So right now we got a 10x for her from Void Shards. So if you're lucky enough to get her, or you have her and you haven't built her out yet, I will help you build her out and show you how to use her. So we're going to go through her kits. I'll show you a good build for her. Then I'm going to show you how to use her for a BOMMAL Hard 90 team. And I'm going to show you some arena footage. So guys, overall, what do I think about this champion? Well, if you're lucky enough to pull her, you have pulled an S tier champion, not only for PvE, but PvP. So in my mind, I am putting her in the same category as Sifi, Duchess, or Warlord. Literally champs you can put almost anywhere in this game, and they make a big impact. Now, some of her skills are better in certain situations. For example, some are better in PvE and some are better in PvP. So we're going to talk about those in a second. So guys, let's start off with her A1 here, Wear Claws. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit steals 7.5% of the target's turn meter if this champion has 50% HP or more. Each hit heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted if this champion has less than 50% HP, damage based on attack. Here's the thing, guys, even though the damage multipliers for the A1 are actually pretty good, you are never going to build this champ for damage. Really going to build this champ for her support capabilities, and her base attack isn't that high either, which really mitigates that good damage multiplier for the A1 that she has. What does this mean? It basically means that the turn meter reduction part of this A1 are going to be more valuable to you than the healing based off damage dealt, because she's not going to do that much damage. So what do I think about this turn meter reduction effect? I think it's good, considering it's not merely a turn meter reduction effect. What is it? It's a turn meter steal. So she's stealing 7.5% of their turn meter per attack, and it's a double hit. And she's also gaining 7.5% turn meter. That's the thing. It's a turn meter steal. And given that, yes, it is an excellent A1. All right, guys, onto our A2 here. Destiny's Mirror. Attacks one enemy. Has an 80% chance, bookable to 100, of placing a hex debuff for 3 turns. Passive effect. Whenever an enemy tries to place debuffs on either this champion or an ally, has a 55% chance, bookable to 75, of transferring those debuffs to a random enemy under a hex debuff placed by this champion. This happens before any debuffs are placed on the initial target. Has a 30% chance instead against bosses. Whenever someone fills a turn meter of an enemy under a hex debuff placed by this champion's turn meter will be filled instead. Only available when Karato Foxhunter is on the same team. Damage based on attack. On a 4-turn cooldown, bookable to 3. Here's the thing with this A2, guys. If you end up using it for PvP, let's say in the arena, you might not even notice it's doing that much. Or maybe you might notice, but in any case, it's probably not going to come off as that impressive to you. But if you use this for PvE, especially against debuffing bosses, this is so freaking powerful. Think about it, guys. With this one skill, it's basically like putting your whole team in deflection gear. So against a debuffing boss, my goodness. Think about your whole team in deflection gear when they're actually not. They can be in separate gear with their separate effects, but you're still getting that deflection effect. This is so powerful. And the craziest thing about this debuff deflection effect is that it says here, this happens before any debuffs are placed on the initial target. So those debuffs that cannot be removed, they're not placed there in the first place against your allies or yourself. They're just, I don't know, out in the ether somewhere. And then they get sent back against that boss. And remember, guys, when she throws that skill out there, she is protecting your whole team, not just herself. Her throwing one hex out there protects your whole team. Basically, your whole team has a chance to deflect debuffs. So guys, as far as PvE, this skill is S tier. It's absolutely S tier. In particular, because it occurs before those debuffs actually land on you and your allies. That's the thing. So even debuffs that cannot be removed, well, they weren't there in the first place, according to Yumiko, but they are back on the boss. All right, guys, on to our A3 here, Dance of Time. Decreases the cooldowns of all ally skills by 3 turns and increases the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns. Will not decrease the cooldowns of this champion's skills. On a 7-turn cooldown, bookable to 5. So guys, this is Yumiko's S tier PvP skill. If you plan to use it for PvP, it's because of this skill. Now here's the thing, if you plan to use the skill in PvE, it's S tier too. Basically, we're taking Warlord's cooldown increase skill and Kaimar's cooldown reset skill, and we're putting them in one skill. Now, that being said, it's not as good as either. So Warlord will put someone's skills fully on cooldown. So if their skills are on a 6-turn cooldown, well, it's going to be on a 6-turn cooldown. He's going to instantly put them all on their maximum cooldown. But Yumiko doesn't do that. She puts them at a maximum 3-turn cooldown. And likewise, Kaimar will fully reset your champ's skills, however long their cooldown is. If it's a 7-turn cooldown, it doesn't matter. Kaimar will fully reset it. Whereas here, Yumiko only resets or reduces cooldown amount by 3 turns. But having both skills in one does present some logistical issues. Take, for example, using the skill in PvP. Let's say you're on a very fast team and Yumiko is either your first or your second fastest champ. Well, you use the skill and what happens? Well, you put the enemy skills on cooldown. They're all on cooldown for 3 turns. But what about your own team's skills? Since you've gone with Yumiko either first or second, their skills haven't even been used yet. At least your damage dealers or some of your support champs, whatever. They might not even have been used yet, but yet you're resetting the cooldowns of the skills that don't need to be reset yet. So basically the first part of the skill where she reduces the cooldowns of your own allies' skills is kind of wasted if you're using her very early on in a Go First Arena team, because a lot of your champs haven't even used their skills yet. So what are some other PvP options for her if going first or second on your Go First Arena team isn't the best option for her? Well, you can have her go fourth on your arena team. Let's say you have everyone go first, use all their skills up, and then she reduces the cooldowns by 3 when she uses this skill. But here's the thing, using her in this way may or may not be a waste of her ability to put the opponent's skills on cooldown, depending if she's going in front of them or in the middle of them or even after them. Now, she's going last in your lineup, but where is she going against the enemy team? Is she going first in front of the enemy team and last for your team? Perfect. But if she's not, then really you're not maximizing this skill. Basically, it's a little hard to maximize the usage of the skill because you don't exactly need your enemy skills being put on cooldown at the exact same time. You need your skills cooldowns being reset. So what am I saying then? Am I saying this skill is not as good because it's kind of hard to time to get the benefit out of both sides of the coin, so to speak? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying basically whenever you use it, it's good. Whether or not you decide to go first in front of your team and the enemy team and you're wasting part of the skill, or whether you want to save it for a little bit later to reduce the cooldowns for your own allies' skills, but then you kind of lose the effect of putting the enemy skills on cooldown because maybe they're already on cooldown because they've already used their skills. Wherever you use it, it's okay. It's S tier, okay? That's what I'm saying. Don't worry about it. Anywhere you use it, it's S tier. Plus, this skill is not a hit. It actually doesn't do any damage. Now, some of you guys might be saying, well, she's void, so she wouldn't weak hit anyway, so she wouldn't fail to land this, right? Well, yes, that's true, but she won't wake anybody up. That's the thing. So if you're using Kaimar for sleep or something like that, she's not gonna wake anybody up because she actually doesn't do any damage. She doesn't touch them. She just puts their skills on cooldown. Whereas someone like Warlord, yes, he touches people. That means when he puts their skills on cooldown, he hits them. So he can potentially wake people if you've slept them. All right, guys, next onto her passive here, Deep Cover. Places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns at the start of each round. This champion is immune to all debuffs if they are under a veil or perfect veil buff. Whenever a veil or perfect veil buff is placed on an enemy, has a 75% chance of stealing the buff. This happens before the buff is placed on the initial target. Only available when Corrado Fox Hunter is on the same team. So guys, as far as the specific special effects with Corrado Fox Hunter, and we've seen 2 so far, I'm going to save that for a separate video. So today we're just going to focus on Yumiko herself. But this skill, like her other skills, is really powerful. So she starts each round with 2 turns of perfect veil, so she's reducing AoE damage. Plus she cannot be targeted by single target attacks because it's a veil, right? Plus she cannot be debuffed. It is like an automatic immunity set at the start of each round for her, just for free. Now, this is not an irremovable buff. Nevertheless, it's really, really powerful because even past those initial first 2 turns, if anyone else places a veil on her, she is gonna have that immunity no matter what. So if you can put a veil on her all the time, she's gonna be 100% immune to debuffs. Think about the synergy with veil champs like Duchess and Rector Drath. Here's the thing, in PvE and PvP, this is a great skill. Think about the arena. You start off the round with 2 turns of basically you can't find her, right? That perfect veil. So all single target damage dealers, they can't find her. for 2 freaking turns. Plus, if you put on lasting gifts, that's a potential 3 turns that no single target damage dealer can find her. Plus, she's immune to debuffs. And in PvP, anytime you clear that wave and get to the next round, she gets a new veil. So to sum it up, great skill here, S tier. Next, guys, onto her aura. Increases ally accuracy in all battles by 60. So we have something as important as accuracy in all allies and all battles. Excellent aura here. Very, very useful. And lastly, guys, let's look at her total stats. So her HP is at 21,315. The attack is 870. Defense 1,288. Speed 105. Crit rate 15%. Crit damage 50%. Resist 30 and accuracy 10. So out of a support champ, what am I seeing? I'm seeing really good HP numbers. 21,000. Excellent. Defense 1,200. Not bad. Honestly, it's not bad. Plus a good speed there at 105. So definitely really good, solid stats as far as tankiness and survivability, which is really what you want out of her. So guys, as far as what sets to use, here you see I have her in 2 speed sets and a broken set, but really what you want are 2 main stats, and that is the speed and the accuracy. As high accuracy as possible because her debuffs, her increasing cooldowns of skills, they require accuracy, her hex. Plus, you definitely want that speed. You want her to go fast. You want her to go often. So as fast as you can with as much accuracy as you can. If you want to run triple perception, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. As far as the books, yes, my Yumiko is fully booked out, and I would recommend, if you're lucky enough to pull her, yes, book her out. She is definitely a champion worth the books. So guys, here are her masteries, and I think the most important one to get would probably be Eagle Eye here. Increase your accuracy. Make sure you're landing that cooldown increasing effect. Make sure you're landing that hex. Make sure you're landing the turn meter reduction. So Eagle Eye is a fantastic way to go for her. Next up, guys, let's talk about her use in the Bommel comp. So how does this team work? Well, basically, it's a variation of my ludicrous comp against Bommel, where I used 3 Vogoths against Bommel. Now here what's happening is those 2 Vogoths really help mitigate the majority of the damage from the Dread Bombs. Now we will be proccing more Dread Bombs because of Yumiko. Her A1 has a turn meter reduction effect. And basically, it's going to make Bommel drop more Dread Bombs. That's fine because the double Vogoths mitigate the damage. Now, if we had 3 Vogoths like my original comp, we would actually gain health from the Dread Bombs. But as it stands with 2, we pretty much mitigate the damage. So Godseeker is here for the revives and the healing, and we have Rask in here for healing as well, in particular against Bommel's normal attacks. Not against the Dread Bombs damage, but against Bommel's damage. So where does Yumiko fit into this? Well, basically, she's going to be reflecting Bommel's bombs back at him because of the hex effect. Now, not the Dread Bombs, but those normal bombs Bommel puts on us, those irremovable bombs. She is going to be reflecting them back. And yes, they can be reflected because her reflect action works before the bombs are placed, like we see in the description. So yes, we can reflect them back. So this is a fun team, and it's really cool to see those irremovable bombs, that is those bombs with the yellow lines around them, be placed on Bommel himself. Plus, Yumiko's A3 works so well against those enemies. Basically, she's putting their skills on cooldown, and she's resetting the Vogoth's AoE provoke skills. So now have so much more control from the Vogoths because they're able to use their AoE provoke skills more, and she's putting the enemy skills on cooldown. So absolutely excellent. So as far as the skill instructions for Yumiko, definitely disable Destiny's Mirror, that is that hex. Disable it on round 1 and 2 and save it for round 3. For round 3, put it as the first priority. For Godseeker and Neri, it's fine, just leave her as is. For Rask, for round 3, definitely turn off the Lightning Strike. You can turn off Lightning Strike for all the rounds if you want, but it's not really that necessary except for when you go to the boss. It helps him gain more turns because he's using his A1 more often, actually all the time, and he's gaining turn meter from this. A2 does not give him turn meter in return. And for the Vogoths, what you want to do for round 3 is you want to disable Wave of Revulsion. You can't provoke the boss, it doesn't help, but their A1 does help. It is a debuff extender, so you want them to use that A1 as often as possible, so you don't need the AoE provoke. So go ahead and turn that off for round 3 for both of the Vogoths, but for the other rounds, just leave them as default. Alright guys, let's go through some arena footage. So one way you can use Yumiko is as a Warlord counter. So either by going first or second. So if you go first, you put Warlord's skills on cooldown. They just go before Warlord. So he can't put your skills on cooldown because his skills are being put on cooldown. But the second way you can run a Yumiko is a high resist Yumiko. So you can let Warlord go first. He puts everyone's skills on cooldown except your Yumiko because she's very high resist. And then you have her reset everyone's skills at least for 3 turns. So there's 2 ways you can use Yumiko. In this particular fight, you're going to see me go the first way. I put Warlord's skills on cooldown. So this is the go first method. Go before Warlord. Do something about him. There. Put his skills on cooldown. Doesn't matter if he has immunity. Still put it on cooldown. Put everyone to sleep. And Rhodos is going to do his thing now. I know what you're saying. Isn't Rhodos obsolete now that we have Ultimate Death Knight? No, you're going to see it later. So no, he's not obsolete. Now it does take longer with Ultimate Death Knight teams potentially, but no, he is not obsolete. Okay, put their skills on cooldown again. So you see Kaimar is resetting Yumiko's skills, and Yumiko is resetting Kaimar's skills. So we get to use everyone's skills much more often if you happen to have them to. But if you don't, that's fine. There you go, guys. Now against Necro teams, Yumiko works just fine because having that ally protection, that block debuffs, it doesn't stop Yumiko from putting your skills on cooldown. It just doesn't. All right, now something we cannot put on cooldown are secret skills. So we have a secret skill right here from Mortu that can potentially proc down. We cannot put that on cooldown. We cannot stop him from using that. Even block active skills does not stop that. But you can't CC him. There are ways to get around that. But in any case, I think Yumiko is a good counter to Necrits because basically Necrit doesn't do anything against her putting people's skills on cooldown. He doesn't stop that. He mitigates some damage with that ally protection that can't be removed, block debuffs, that shield, strengthen, but still, those are strippable. We put everyone's skills on cooldown. And we did strip some buffs. And now we're going in for the kill here. Okay, we didn't have to deal with that peril proc. Killed Mortu in 1 blow. Putting that hex up. Okay, we're going to reset the cooldowns of everyone's skills, including Yumiko right now. And now she's going to put everyone's skills back on cooldown. It's pretty insane using those 2 together. Okay, I mean, his skills were already put on cooldown. Why not? Why not put his skills on cooldown again? Sorry, Tormund. You don't get your chance. But everyone's skills here are pretty much reset on my team. Why not? Hex, why not? Now, if he tries that freeze, get a chance to get it thrown back. Alright, guys, and there we go. Next up, guys, we're going to use our Yumiko against Stone Skin Cardinal team. So those teams are really annoying because you know if Cardinal revives somebody, they are taking their turns next. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Plus, you have her in Stone Skin. So besides bombs, I mean, she's immune to all debuffs, and the damage mitigation is hard to get through. That Stone Skin is tough. But if we put her skills on cooldown, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how slow she is, how much Stone Skin she has. It doesn't matter because she can't revive anyone when skills are put on cooldown. So another thing you're going to see here is Rhodos with that Soul Reap Blessing. It's pretty cool if you guys haven't seen it before. Okay, so we're going first. And sorry, Cardinal, it doesn't matter how slow you are or annoying. We put your skills on cooldown. It doesn't matter. See, she kept her Stone Skin. It doesn't matter. You can't revive anybody because your skills are put on cooldown. So look at that. Look at that. Nice Soul Reap right there, even though we got the reaction proc. So the Reviver is down. Yep, don't want to wake Mortu. Look at that. Cardinal is useless. We set everyone's skills, including Yumiko's. That means we're going to put everyone's skills on cooldown again for the other team. Again. Look at that damage from Rhodos. He is not obsolete, guys. He is not. Yeah, just put her skills on cooldown again. Why not? And reset everyone's skills. Why not? Why not? All right, put her to sleep. Nice, we got the freeze off. And this one should be over soon. All right, guys, there you go. So guys, can you use Rotos against Ultimate Death Knight? Of course you can, of course you can. But what Ultimate Death Knight does is it makes all of Rotos' attacks, as long as Ultimate Death Knight is alive, have the potential of being a weak hit. Especially with Stone Skin, you just make your Ultimate Death Knight potentially last longer, but it doesn't mean you cannot beat Ultimate Death Knight teams with Rotos. It just means it might take longer, and a lot of you guys, you might not want to do that, but that's all it means. Of course you can beat Ultimate Death Knight teams with Rotos, all right? So let's see how this one goes. We got the Necrit in there too. Of course, we're gonna put everyone's skills on cooldown, so it doesn't matter. Now, Ultimate Death Knight's passive, we cannot put it on cooldown, so it will always work. We can disable it if we had Ramen 2, but we cannot put it on cooldown. There you go. We put everyone else's skills on cooldown, at least the ones that can be put on cooldown. Now, they do have those protected shields, so we can't get through those. That is, we can't strip those, but yeah, we can punch through them with just damage. All right, so the Hex gets redirected to Ultimate Death Knight, as every single target attack does. And you're gonna see it's just gonna take a little bit longer. That's fine. Looks like a regeneration or immortal Ultimate Death Knight. It just takes a little bit longer. We'll chop him down eventually. It'll happen eventually. Now, if he gets revived, that passive still works. Oh, look at that. Soul Reap, nice. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So I think the whole thing of Rotos being obsolete, I think that's, even with Stone Skin Ultimate Death Knight, I think that's a little overblown. It's just gonna take you a little bit longer if you have Rotos. Rotos is still excellent for PvP. All right, now you see that unkillable go up, but Rotos ignores it. He ignores unkillable. And there you go, guys. A little bit longer of a fight, but like I mentioned, it still works. So guys, it's pretty much going to be the same story using Yumiko in PvE areas of the game. She's going to help you out so much, especially against those enemy waves, putting their skills on cooldown and reducing the cooldowns of your allies' skills. Plus against bosses, yes, she's going to help out with that immunity. Remember, her Hex effect. Right? She's gonna hex the boss, and all of a sudden, your whole team has deflection sets on them. So in PvE, she is top tier. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for my Yumiko guide. Now, I might do a separate video on Yumiko and Corrado together, but as far as Yumiko by herself, man, she is top tier all by herself. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share. Turn on all notifications. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.